Hello, folks, and welcome to Voices in My Head, Episode 2. This is the video podcast, where we talk about audiobook stuff, and today I thought we'd talk... Wait a second, what day is this? Sunday? That's the wrong day, ain't it? Oh, wait a second, wrong accent. Okay, there we go. Welcome to Voices in My Head, Episode 2. This is Basil Sands, and I'm coming to you live from the outskirts of the horizon, the remote places way up there by the Arctic, where it's actually warmer than most of the United States today. This is Anchorage, Alaska, and I am Basil Sands, the host of Voices in My Head, the podcast where we talk about audiobooks, audiobook narration, audiobook setup, setting up your home studio, and all that kind of stuff. Now, these first few episodes are going to be going over the basics. Today, what we're going to talk about is the audiobook digital audio workstation software. The initial part. Last time, in the pilot episode, as it were, I told you that the primary tool that you need is the ability to act, the ability to improvise, to become the characters in the book. That is the main tool. If you don't have the ability to act, you're not going to be an audiobook narrator. Well, for those of you who have continued on, you at least assume you have the ability to act. So we'll go with that, because I'm sure that most of you do, or you wouldn't be looking into this. At least you think you do. You probably do. The next tools that we need are certain pieces of software. Software that would go on your computer, which is that box where you can type on the typey type thing, and you can make emails, and you can make internet stuff. Well, you can also make audiobook stuff on that same computer, if you know what I mean. Software, of course, being, well, the shirt is soft and we wear it. That's not the software I'm talking about. We're talking about the software that you would record into using a microphone and so on. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into some of the choices in software that you're going to purchase out there. I'm going to give you a couple of names. I'm not going over all the various options that are out there because there's way too many of them. And I'm going to make a distinction for you. The vast majority of the reasonable software that's out there is going to work for you. It all comes down to your personal preferences. Here's a couple of titles that I've worked with and a couple that I haven't worked with, but we'll go over them. And I'm going to put a little picture up there. I'll tell you a little bit about it. First off, I see a lot of people with Macs, with Apples, talking about GarageBand. Well, GarageBand, which is by Apple, is free. Apparently it comes with or can be downloaded to an iMac or a Macintosh computer. It's Macintosh only. I've never owned a Macintosh. I have no clue. The only time I've ever tried to work with GarageBand, they played too loud and the drummer came in stoned. According to ACX's website, on their recommendations, which they have a really good thing on the blog.acx.com, their verdict on GarageBand, skip it. It's not the quality that you need. The second one that we'll look at is a software called Audacity. We'll go very quickly, by the way, over these. Audacity is what I started with when I started in the podcasting business, when I started podcasting my own audiobooks, and very new. It's good because it's cheap. And I use it actually in a setting within my church. We actually record the messages using Audacity. It works good in that scenario. It's cheap because it's free. It's totally open source software. It gets regular updates. It's pretty good software, but it's a bit clunky to use. It's, for the price, it's worth it if you're willing to do some extra work. It saves things in its own native file format while you're editing, and then after you're done with that, you have to export that to a WAV or MP3 or whatever you're working with. That file format that it uses requires a lot of hard disk space. I'm talking about gigabytes for short. It takes up more hard disk space than a WAV does, a WAV file. But Audacity is free, which is a very good price point. If you're on a budget and you're willing to do a little bit more work working with it, Audacity's excellent. Reaper is one that I have never used, but I've heard a lot of good reports about it. They've got good forums. They've got good material out there. Apparently, it goes for both Mac and PC. There is a price for it. It's inexpensive, depending on which license you buy, anywhere from $60 to $200 or $300, something like that. Decent software. I've heard a lot of good reports, a lot of people that really like it. The one that I use is Adobe Audition. I like Adobe Audition, partly because I also do videos, and Adobe has a creative content suite where you can get the Adobe Audition software and you can get the video production software and a bunch of other stuff all together. I like to do that. Adobe has a deal called Creative Cloud. where for 20 bucks a month approximately, you can download the most up-to-date versions of all their various software packages. You're basically, rather than buying the software, you're buying a membership to the Adobe Club, I guess you could say. The nice thing that I really like about Adobe Audition is the fact that in addition to having their software with the waveform that's going across, as you can see all the bouncy stuff that's going across on the screen, just like what I'm showing you here. They've also got the option for a different view. Their spectral frequency, which is what's on the screen right now, this really groovy kind of colory thing that you see up on the screen. What that does is it enables you during your editing, during your post-recording, while you're going through and you're cleaning stuff up, you can go in and pick out individual frequencies and noises to clean them up out of the sounds in the software. It's really good for that, and it's a really cool kind of groovy picture that you look out there. Ooh. Yeah, don't do that. Anyway, but it's good software. I really like Adobe Audition. You can buy the Creative Content or the Creative Cloud package for 20 bucks a month. It's a subscription, but you get tons of other software with it, and you get about 20 gigs of storage space on their website. Or you can buy the Adobe Creative Suite as a package with everything, or if all you want is Adobe Audition for recording audios, it's something like $200 or $300, period. You buy it, you own the license, and you get whatever certain updates that you can get, or you can buy the annual updates or whatever whenever they come out with a new version. That works pretty good too. You could go either way. The cheaper membership, which may in the long run cost you more, but you get constant updates, or just buy out the software and off you go. You could go either way. There's an airplane flying by, so I'm going to let that go. Big long airplane. Airplane's gone. The next piece of software that that's really famous out there is Sony SoundForge. Sony SoundForge is a little pricey. It runs at about $400 for the professional version, but it's a top of the line piece of software. It's really good for what it does. This software is very user friendly, very powerful, as long as you're not on a Mac. It doesn't work on Macs. So just kind of like how GarageBand and some of those others only work on Macs, well, SoundForge apparently does not work on a Mac, at least according to the information I have. If someone knows something different, let me know. Send a piece of information over to do that. Wavelab by Steinberg. Wavelab is a very good piece of software. It's very expensive. New licenses for Wavelab are right around $500. It works for what it does. It's a very good, very powerful piece of software, but it's very complicated. According to the podcast, or according to the information that I've read about it, kind of complicated to get to use, but if you're a real technical person and you want to figure it out, go for it. One of the other most common softwares out there is Pro Tools. Now, Pro Tools, I've tried Pro Tools. It seems to work pretty good. There was a steep learning curve to it, and it is pretty expensive. It's about $500 as well. The software itself works great, and typically there's a version of it that you can buy that comes with a preamp, that comes with an Avid Studio Pre, and you can, so that's pretty good, and it works with either Windows or Mac OS. You can go both ways. Another very good software that a lot of people, as Mac users specifically, talk about is Twisted Wave. Might be something that you'd want to look into. It sells for a pretty reasonable price, about $80 for the download of Twisted Wave. Get that into your computer, but again, that's only for Mac users. If you're a PC user, sorry, bud, you're out of luck. One other program that we have out there is Presonus Studio One. Studio One is neat because it is a professional quality software that has a professional version that runs for a very expensive price, all the way down to the free version, which runs for a very free price. And it's not just a free sample. It's actually free software permanently. It's got limits to it. It doesn't have a lot of the plugins. It doesn't have certain other functions that the full versions do, but it is free. And to be quite honest with you, working in audiobooks, you don't need a lot of those other plugins. If you're doing music and stuff on the side or video production and so on, yeah, you might want something better. But for basic single-track mono recording or even stereo recording, the Presonus Studio One free version may be right up your alley. You want to get some better plugins, get some better tools on there, go for it. They have the voiceover artist one, they have the producer one, and they have the Studio One Professional. Each one at a different price break, and But you know, you can get out there and you can experiment. That's one of the keys to this whole game. So, final recommendation. Get what works for you. Simple as that. The key thing is make sure that you sound good coming out of whatever it is. Go to the various websites that are out there. Get either the demo version. A lot of them offer a 15 or 30-day demo version for free. Some of them offer totally free versions. Try a couple of them. Maybe even produce a whole book using one or the other. Some folks use multiple DAWs, D-A-W, remember, Digital Audio Workstation. Some people use multiple bits of software. They'll record in one, they'll edit in a different one that works better for them. Totally up to you. The key thing is the end quality sound. That's what you want to make right. That being the case, I'm going to go back to recording an audiobook and having a good time in my studio with the, me and the leprechauns just out there having a good time. And, goodbye. Leave. Okay, let's play with some accents now. Let's see. Hit this button. Welcome, folks, to the show. Oh, no, I don't want that one. This is Basil. We're coming to you live from Wales. No, this. I live in the land down under. Can't sing, but I can drink beer like thunder. Oh. This is Basil. Welcome to the show. This is Basil. This is stuck button. Hello. Welcome to the show. What's he so slow for? What's that, the bloody Geico guy? In Mother Russia, Olympic play you. I don't know, my good man. I just don't know. Do you crumpets anyone? Right. Welcome to the United States of America. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Hello. I'm from Alaska. We don't have an accent. I'm from Nebraska. We don't have an accent. I'm from Ohio. We don't have an accent. What the heck? Have you ever been to Alabama? Me neither. Oklahoma. Groovy. Ooh. Minnesota? I've been to Minnesota. Drove right through it. Smelled like milk. Have you ever been to the southern part of Germany? Ha! There is not one! I say, old chap, welcome. I'm going to turn this thing off now. Well, you certainly seem happy. I've never even been to Manchester.